What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have a comparison video between the Adidas Predator Accuracy and the new Adidas Predator 30. Now I'm going to share the differences as well as the similarities between these two, and hopefully I can help you guys decide whether to upgrade to the new Pred or just stay with the Predator or even buy the old Accuracy since it probably will be discounted. Before we continue, if you guys could just like the video as well as subscribe, I would really appreciate that. Alright, so the new Pred and the old Pred, they're really similar in terms of tech specs. On paper, they have a lot of similarities to them, but they're executed very differently. Like they both have hybrid touch uppers, they both have rubber elements. Those sole plates are kind of almost the same, just a little difference here and there, and other differences like in the heel and stuff like that. And so, for the most part, it isn't a major redesign because if you guys look at them, yes, they look different, but for the most part, they have the same like aspects of a Predator. But I feel like they've done small improvements that overall just make the new Predator a lot better. And also, I've only worn the new Adidas Predator maybe twice. So in that playtest video that I did do, if you guys want to go check that out, it is on my channel and as well as a different time. So I only have about maybe 4 hours in these, 5 hours, not a lot of time, but I feel like I have worn them enough to make this comparison video. The weather has been a little cold, and every time I do want to go to the field, it's been like raining. So it's just annoying weather. Alright, so first we'll start with the uppers. Now both of them are Hybrid Touch synthetics. This is Hybrid Touch, and then this is Hybrid Touch 2.0. You guys can see there the logo. And they're both pretty soft. They're supposed to mimic like leather boots. That's what Hybrid Touch is supposed to do. And it's not very leather-like, but it is very soft. Now with the Adidas Predator Accuracy, they did have like a thicker upper. Not thicker, but a more padded upper. So they did have an internal padded liner, and you guys could really feel it like, on feet and when you're like juggling and then passing. There was a bit of dampness to the upper as well as a bit more padding to it, and overall it was soft. I will say in the beginning it did need some break-in time in order for the upper to soften up even more, and I guess for that internal liner just to soften up. But once broken in, it did feel really soft, and I actually did like the sensation of a padded like upper. Now on the new Adidas Predator 30, we do still have Hybrid Touch, and it's Hybrid Touch 2.0. This time around, the Hybrid Touch is a bit thinner, and from right out of the box, it just feels a bit softer than the Accuracy. I even found in the playtest that there wasn't really much break-in time needed just because the upper was already soft. And I feel that's just because it no longer has that like padded liner on the inside, and so there isn't really much time needed to like make the upper softer and like break in, just because the material itself is already soft. So the upper is thinner, but it's not like a very thin upper. It's not like an F50 Addy Zero with like that Hybrid Touch thin synthetic upper. It still has some like padding to it. Like the Hybrid Touch itself is a bit padded, and so it's not overly like cushioned, and you don't really get like a dampened touch like the Accuracy, but there still is a little bit of padding to it, like ever so slightly. I would say it's like the same thickness as the Phantom GX. Another major change that we'll see are the rubber elements. So here in the Accuracy, they were these small like rubber dots you guys can see, and they were kind of lined up here in the striking area, lined up here. You guys can see the pattern with my finger. This colorway is kind of hard to see the rubber elements, but yeah, all the way from here all the way to like the middle of the toe box, and you did get a good amount of grip with these. I would say because the upper was kind of padded, you didn't really feel these small little dots. Yes, they did provide grip, but when striking the ball, I guess you don't really feel those little grip elements. With the new Adidas Predator, you guys can see they're a lot more aggressive, and there's a bit more like surface area to the rubber elements, and they kind of stick out more. They're more like fins, and they're a bit softer. So what I found is that these do provide a little bit more grip, and I feel like they spin the ball a lot more just because you do get more grip on these. You guys can see like the fins moving, they're nice and soft. These are a bit harder, like they don't really move, but they're still really grippy. But I would still say that these provide a little bit more grip, or it just feels like it just provides a bit more grip. And also because the upper is a bit thinner, you do feel these like rubber elements when you are striking the ball. And for me, I actually like that sensation of like having something there to nicely strike the ball. It just feels really unique on feet. You also get rubber elements here in the tongue, like this Adidas logo as well is rubber. But honestly, I don't really notice it. Maybe it does like help in provide a little bit of grip here when you strike it. But honestly, I don't really notice it, so I couldn't tell you if it actually does help having grip elements here on the tongue. Another major change that we do get is the heel area. Here, the heel area, it's kind of hard to see, but there isn't much padding to it, and it felt a lot more shallow. And the problem with this heel is that there was a little bit of movement, and I feel like your heel didn't move up and down when you're like running. The sensation of the boot almost like coming out was not really like, I didn't really like that. But once I did wear grip socks with the Adidas Accuracy, that problem went away. But I feel like that was really annoying, having to always wear grip socks with the Adidas Predator Accuracy. Sometimes, you don't want to wear grip socks, but with the Accuracy, I always had to wear grip socks, which I find annoying. This time around, they did fix that problem. You guys can see here the padding. There's a lot more padding to it. These two little pillows on the side. It's not a crazy amount. I feel like it's a good amount. It does have some texture, but I don't think that really does anything. But I feel like the heel is a lot deeper, and it just like fits really well. I didn't find any movement in the heel when I wore these boots. It felt nice and secure. Like the external heel kind of gives a nice like locked in feel and like a secure feel, and it just feels really nice this time around. Now they did change the fit and the shape with the Accuracy. The boot overall was a lot wider, and it did have more volume to it. You guys can see how wide this boot is and how much volume like there is in the toe box. And this was very good for people that had wide feet. Like, I found this boot very comfortable, no pressure points whatsoever, and it fit really well. This time around, they made the new Predator like slimmer and have less volume. So you guys can see there isn't much width to the boot at all. And overall, the toe box and like the midfoot is a bit like lower volume compared to the Accuracy. Hopefully there you guys can see how much like slimmer this area is than the Accuracy, and overall just less volume to the boot. But I found that this boot overall just fits a bit better. It does feel a bit snug, and it just wraps your foot very closely. Like, I really like that sensation. And even though I do have a bit of a wider foot, I am able to fit in these like with no problem. I found no issues here on the side, no pinching, no nothing. They felt very comfortable. So even though it does have less volume and it is slimmer, I feel like people that have a bit of a wider foot are still able to fit in these, especially since it does have a standard tongue construction. And like I said, you are able to adjust how tight you want the stuff like around here on the side. So that does help with that. So I feel like if you do have a bit of a wider foot, you should be able to fit in these. Another change is the sole plate. So here in the Accuracy, we did get like a 2-part sole plate, and the sole plate overall was pretty flexible. It wasn't like very responsive. It was flexible. Here in the midfoot was pretty nice and structured, but the sole plate kind of made this boot a little bit heavier just because there were more parts to it. And the stud pattern overall was pretty good. They were these triangle studs, and so they were kind of aggressive. They were on the smaller side, so they didn't provide too much bite, and so you were still able to kind of move around. Now with the new Pred, we do get a one-piece sole plate, which overall just makes the boot a lot lighter just because it is a one-piece sole plate and there isn't multiple pieces. I feel like reducing the weight of this boot just makes it feel like more modern, and it just goes really well with the fit and feel of the boot. This sole plate isn't as flexible as the Accuracy. It has a bit more responsiveness here in the midfoot, and it's not very snappy. It's not like an Adidas X, but it is, like I said, a bit more like responsive, and I feel it has a nice in between. It's not very flexible, but not very stiff. It feels really nice underfoot. And here the stud pattern. Overall, it's the same layout, but we do get these like triangle studs, which honestly aren't as aggressive as the Accuracy, but they still provide a good amount of traction. And I found that these work really well in AG. And overall, I really like the improvements that they made with the sole plate. So in terms of performance, I feel like the new Predator just performs a little bit better. The Accuracy I found, because it was a bit wider and there was a little bit more space and volume in the boot, there was a little bit of movement. It's not a crazy amount. It's something that, it makes the boot unplayable, but there was ever so slightly a little bit of movement. And especially in the heel, like I said, there was movement in the heel, which I didn't like. Once I wore grip socks, that did fix the problem. But like I said before, I always had to wear grip socks with the Adidas Predator Accuracy. So performance-wise, it was good, but I feel like the new Predator just improves in performance. Like, the boot overall just fits a bit closer to your foot, and because of that, you get a really nice snug fit. And so when you're like cutting across and stuff like that, The upper doesn't really move all that much. It really helps that your heel is very nice and locked, especially with this external heel counter here. It just provides more stability in the heel, in my opinion. And overall, I think that the new Pred is just the better performer. So if you guys have the Predator Accuracy, should you guys upgrade to the new one? And for me, honestly, I would upgrade. The small changes that they made to the shape, as well as the new rubber strike elements, just makes this boot feel better. It's just better overall, in my opinion. Especially the new shape. It just feels a bit sleeker than the Accuracy. I feel like a lot of people will like they changed the shape. It's going to fit a lot closer to the foot. The boot is overall lighter, and the rubber strike elements are a bit more aggressive this time around, and so you actually feel it when you're striking the ball, and it just feels very unique. I actually really like the changes they did to the rubber elements here. And overall, I feel like this is the best Predator that Adidas have released in a really long time. So that's it for today's comparison video. I talked about the uppers, the fit, the feel, the stud pattern, the sole plate. I talked about almost everything. If I did miss something and you guys want to know, just let me know in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like and also subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified for the full review of the Adidas Predator 30. I'll have it up maybe within like 2 to 3 weeks. I still want to get more playtime in these. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.